Hey, Mikey, what's up, bud?
Good to see you.
You like
What's new?
likewise? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
What was I gonna say? What's new, man? How you holding up during these times?
We're hanging in there. I mean, some days better than others, obviously. With Amelia having school, and then Devin and myself trying to figure out work situations. It presents its daily frustrations and headaches. But like yesterday was super rough, and today's been super good. So it's just kind of been a lot of up and down. But I think I'm sure it's the same for everybody.
I know this is real rough for a lot of people, but I mean I feel like it's a
It
learning
is.
experience.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think for us, like it's just a reminder, like how valuable family time is, and how fortunate we are to be able to to be able to go through this as a family. Because I can't imagine, especially LA. It's like places like New York is very like solo living. So I couldn't imagine being forced to go through this without people to support you, and on your off days having somebody there to pick you up, and I just couldn't imagine having to do this just solo. You know what I mean? And you're in your own headspace the whole time, and
It's wild. So I'm gonna get into this because I've had a few questions for like a while, even since I was like a kid. So I was like, let me go and hit you up about this. The ice cream days. I know it's like the biggest thing for everyone. Bring it up to you all the time, but like for me, I never got my perspective to talk to you about it. But like,
yeah,
how did
yep.
you get on and like how did that whole program come about?
I had a really good friend. His name's Nino Scalia. Nino's a Love Park local Philly guy. He was team manager at Alien Workshop for a good bit of time during like the photosynthesis days. He then went to work at Zoo York. Him and Pharrell had just developed the idea for it really early on. I think probably during Nino's time at Zoo. It took a while to get from idea to execution. And he had reached out to me, I think, right when I had first got onto Zoo. At the time, initially, I didn't quite see, the vision that he had for it, and we just kept in contact, and so many of the things that he had wanted to implement to it were like really rad things, like the initial idea for the ads was everyone was going to get to identify and potentially rent out a spot that they'd like a dream spot to skate.
Wow.
Because they're with having Reebok and Bape backing it, we had some pretty cool resources. And I just put some time. Yeah, I put more time and thought into it, and just understanding like everything around ice cream, from Star Trek as a music label to their connection with Bathing Ape. It was just a lot of things I was really really into, and then having Terry part of it, Terry's endorsement at the time was really important to me. So I ended up circling back and being like, yo, honestly, is this invite still on the table? And kept his word, and I ended up coming out to LA before like any contracts or anything were signed. I had the opportunity to meet Pharrell, and I think after that it was kind of like a done deal, and then it was just a matter of waiting for the Reebok deal to kick in, the Bape deal to kick in, everyone to get legit contracts.
Wow.
And yeah, one thing that I always thought was really cool was like all of our contracts. None of them came from Reebok. None of them came from Bape. They all came from Star Trek, the company. So we were legitimately on their payroll. So it wasn't like it was just part of like a budget from Bape or Reebok or anything.
How was
That
it
was
kicking it
that,
with
that was
Pharrell? Like, did you get to
it.
spend some time?
Yo, we actually got to spend a lot of time with him. Like coincidentally, like if we were doing trips to New York or if we were doing trips to Miami, where he was based out of at the time, even in LA, a lot of our shoots were coordinated together. We got to kick it a lot more than you would expect for someone that's so has always been so fucking busy, and always working and always moving. And even when, like, even on like off time, if I would be in Miami, it was nothing Pharrell's assistant at the time, Mick, to be like, yo, they're always recording at the Marlin, which was right on Collins. I'd get done skating and I would just go kick it with them. And, I'd be sitting there and it'd be like Juvenile or Robin Thicke or, people that I really looked up to and appreciated their music. And funny enough, those two individuals, I ran into Juvenile in New Orleans last year and told him the story how I was coming into the Marlin and he was leaving, and it was cool because he was with like a whole crew. He had like a shirt wrapped around his head. It was everything that you'd imagine to think like damn, this is how Juvenile like looks. You know what I mean, in real life. And then I ran into Robin Thicke at Paradise Cove down in Malibu. I was paying our lunch tab, and he was at the bar getting something. And I literally looked. I was like, Robin Thicke, and he was like, yeah. And I told him like, yo, my name's Jimmy. I used to skate for Pharrell back in the day. I met you. I actually met him and his old man that passed away at different times. And he was like, no shit. And I was like, yeah. So yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to just reconnect with those guys and tell them,
Yeah, that's wild. Like how being on a brand like that like catapults you. I don't know. You just sit in this crazy limelight. I remember it was like 2006, I would say, and I remember just tripping on like the video when it came out because I would bring it to school and be like, "Yo, you guys gotta watch this." Because skating for me back then, people were really judgmental and like very like, "Man, skating what?" And then I would see you guys just like rocking the ill gear, full zip ups, like it was next level.
Dude, it was a mind fuck, man. Because you know us and you know the community that we come from. So balancing both, like the core values of skateboarding and the core skateboarding community with also understanding there's a world outside of this that appreciates what we're doing and trying to being able to straddle and exist in both points. Back then it was hard, you know what I mean? Because I was younger and, I maybe mentally a little bit more fragile and not that I always care what my peers have to say about me. You know what I mean? Like I understand the line where it's like, yo, in all honesty, I'm just trying to do better for myself. But at the same time, and I don't give a fuck what you say, but at the same time, we're fellow skateboarders. So like, I would never want, I never wanted people to feel like I was doing them wrong. But it was hard because the thing was so big that it was hard for anyone to wrap their head around,
How was it filming for that video?
Filming for it was cool. If I had any regrets with Ice Cream, I would say that like when I turned my part in for the video, I really enjoyed it because I got to work with Chris Mulhern, who Chris is an incredible filmer, doing some great things. And for me personally, I just had trouble. I just had trouble on my board more or less. Like I had trouble getting comfortable with the second shoe that they released. I was in between board sponsors, so I was never riding boards that I was like really, really comfortable with. And I think also just like between finishing off my school studies and then, trying to soak in what we were doing, like there's certain things about it where I'm like, man, I don't feel like I put my best foot forward. But trip wise, and that was like our trips too were also like we would go to spots, we would go to different cities as a team, and you know how it is. It's like you go on skate trips, and sometimes certain guys are locked in. Sometimes you're going to spots that don't necessarily, complement everybody you're traveling with. So you don't always get like the full filming attention that you know what I mean, that you might want or need, and so it's just kind of navigating with that, but filming for it overall was cool. We had a young kid named Corey Cabrera who was filming. Yeah. Who Corey's been filming skate for mad long, and Corey was a young buck at the time. But it was fun. I got to see like watching Jacob. Was a kid that I really didn't know at that point, and kind of seeing him grow into himself, and like we just go to spots and he would blow me away because he would just do shit like a kid does shit, and then just seeing Terry with like his bag of tricks that I always blew me away, you know what I mean? Like fakey lip slide and big ass handrails, and Kevin Booker was really good, and Kato Cato had a really cool approach. Like his approach to skating was different than all of ours. Like he could skate pulls, he could do, I always felt like Cato came from like he had like an old soul. So like his skating reflected that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, filming for it overall was really good. It was I actually got to edit my part with Chris and turn it in, which was cool. And I think that was Chris's like first big like skate filming paycheck. So like that's a nice thing to have, because Chris is one of the best now, man. So like to be able to say like, yo, I was able to, I didn't give him anything. He did the work, but like to say I was able to work with him on like this his first thing was rad.
How are we getting boxes from them? Would they be like crazy boxes, like ice cream kicks and?
Dude, the boxes were crazy because they would come. On the clothing side, it would be like the same way. Any clothing brand. Once a season comes in, everybody gets. They would take out what's allotted for the team, and we get a box. The shoes, it would come. Shoes would come pretty regularly, especially once Reebok was kicked in. But yeah, and what was really cool was early on we were getting like random bait boxes, and that was cool because it was still really early in like the Bape and BBC trends. So it was like to be able to like we were getting shit directly from Bape like that. In retrospect, that was a pretty cool thing.
Do you got any classic pieces from that era that you kept? Maybe like brand new?
No, I don't. I got rid of a lot of stuff over the years. There obviously with total regret, I wish I would have kept a lot of stuff, but I was actually able to go back and find the varsity jacket, the brand new. It was from like I think maybe season 1 or 2, and it was from the Bait Manufacturing, and but I think the kid gave it to me for like $400.
Damn.
So reacquiring that was big to me because something about those two jackets always like were just like they just signified what the company meant like as a whole. So to be able to get I got the black one. Back in the day I had both the red and the black one, so I was cool just on getting one.
The one that stands out to me the most that I would love to get if I can find the shoes where they're like the ice cream ones with like the dollar signs and the diamonds, like the black and the blue, the red.
Oh, those were the best ones.
That shoe looked like it skated so well.
Dude, that was the thing. It was that shoe skated so fucking good, and I think when you look at like the trend of skate shoes now, it's pretty similar, and it's just a one piece thin upper with no panels and a cup sole. So the second shoe was really hard for me to skate in.
What was it just board flip 2s or something?
The board flip 1. The board flip 2 I could skate in. I felt really comfortable in. The first one, I could never find my groove in that one. But the other guys could, man. Terry would I'm telling you, I'd be watching Terry like fakey crook handrails in it and shit. I just be like, I don't know how he just got the feel for it. I don't know if he was just going off a straight, just like that was, he was just locked in the mode at that point.
Yeah.
But I couldn't lock in the way that those guys could in those.
What are like some of your favorite brands now? Like, do you have any like brands? I mean, running one of your own, but I'm saying like, do you have any brands that you like seeing? Like, oh, that was dope that they dropped. Or this was cool. Like,
skate wise or just in general?
Just in general, I feel like.
On the skate side, I'm continuously, obviously I really like what Supreme does. I think they have a rad thing going. I really like Palace, man. I don't buy too much of the stuff, but every single release is like, it's just really interesting stuff from like Averex to they just did an Evisu collaboration. There's like all things that I really, really like. So to see them, I just like, there's things I would never imagine them doing either, but they're clearly tapped into like another time period and ushering it to like look right for 2020. But on the board side, I really like all-timers, I think. Seeing some of the guys that they have involved and seeing seeing Zared still like contributing, not even contributing, man. That guy is like still skating at such an extremely high level, so I just like that they're this like small little like East Coast brand too. And then otherwise, like there's a company based in West LA called RTH. They've got a store on La Cienega. I really like their stuff. God, I'm such a brand person, and now and when you ask me what my favorite ones are, it's hard to think of. I really on shoe wise, I really like this company called Hender Scheme, which is a Japanese based brand. They remake a lot of classic stuff and really good leathers, handmade, and it just feels like something that would come from Japan.
What's your idea of brands making comebacks, and like what would happen if Aesthetic came back now? Like, would you help contribute and push
Dude,
it?
I have asked Sal countless amount of times to get this thing going, man. So it's I think you'll never fully be able to recreate the magic that was with these brands, from their initial inception. But if you care about them, then you probably can get pretty damn close. So I like to see, I saw some Mad Circle product pop up, and I got so excited, and then I just realized it was just like a little one-off thing that they were doing. But yeah, I like seeing these brands come back to life because they meant so much to people, and you now have the opportunity to tell a whole new audience of kids and generation of kids, the same message that made us feel so special about these times and brands.
So speaking on brands, what was your thought process to start JSP?
There wasn't actually too much thought, to be brutally honest with you. I wish I could say we had like this contrived thing. But I just, I was lucky enough to meet someone that could help me do the things that I couldn't do, and just help me with the having an infrastructure, and my partner Jared Lee, he's really had the infrastructure that I needed to like see this thing through, and the trust, what I mean, like he believed in me, and I saw what he did and had the same belief in him. And then we did it for a couple years and just realized we couldn't align it the way that we could, or the way that we wanted to. Mm-hmm. But we always had in the back of our mind, if later on down the line, if we feel like it's wanted to come back, then we would do it. And over, between the course of 2015 and 2017, there was just so many people that had continuously hit us about it. And we were like, oh, we'll do one run of sweats. Okay, we'll do one run of the TieDyes. All right, we still undersold what we probably could have done, and more people heaved us, so we'll do another run. And then, I had another idea for some sweats, and then Reebok approached us, and then DC, so it's just been these things where it's like the things have fortunately been presented to us to be able to align the brand with, and yeah, we just kind of been doing what feels right to us,
What's skating like for you nowadays? Do you ever feel like, damn, I want to film another video part? Do you ever get the urge to?
I do, man. I get the I get the itch. I think with skating is like that. I don't care how old you are, it'll always be there. And like after a week of like thinking about it, I'll always like my lady will be like, yeah, go ahead, and it's just if I can find like those one or two tricks that felt good to me back in the day and get a couple of those off, I'm good, because then I'm sore for like the next week. I'm sore right now. I snuck out 2 days ago to skate that same school, and then the very next day I drug Devin to this wall ride, and I'm feeling it completely right now.
What if you just film like 10 to 15 tricks, the ones you like, and just go to those spots, like maybe film a whole part at that school? And just tell a story.
Yeah,
that would be fresh.
If you're gonna film it, I'm down. Like
easy. You just let me know what day. We'll keep the 6 feet apart distance. I'll just film long lens through the fence, like,
Dude, the funniest thing was this was a couple months back where I was going to meet Vern, and I was just like, man, I can't go to this school today, and like I want to put myself in an awkward situation and try something that has never felt comfortable on a skateboard before. One trick I never did back in the day was switch crooks. Like and it was weird because I was around so many people that could do really good switch crooks, whether it was KT or Kalis or Stevie or Pete Eldridge, and I just watch these guys like, yo, I love this trick, but it just feels totally uncomfortable. And literally within like 30 minutes of skating with Vern that day, I figured it out, and now it's like anytime I go skate, it's like the first trick I try.
Switch crook.
Yeah. So now I really want to learn Nollie 180 to switch crooks. That's my next one.
We need that.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're down to film a part, we'll do it.
That's easy. I'm with it. Well, dude, 10 to 15 tricks. You pick them. We can easily go film them and make it, put a part out.
This little bang to ledge setup that we have is mean. I'll show you.
I seen you.
It's
You
like
did it. You
a
posted the
it's
crook.
like a yeah, it's like a junior Lockwood setup, man. And it
Damn.
almost kind of has like you can hit the bench and go into the hip. So it's pretty cool. It's honestly it's cool to finally talk to you on here because I always trip on you, Mike. Because like I remember when you were this kid from New York coming down to Philly, your dad bringing you down, hanging at Nocturnal to, going to like the old Alien TF, and then years going by, and not losing contact with one another, but just people got other stuff going on, but then here's 5-10 years go by and you're like a skateboard industry mainstay, man. That's really cool to me.
Oh man, so I appreciate that, Jimmy. It's wild. I know. It's for the longest in my mind, I always had that determination, like one day, and then now, like I guess when you're passionate, like anything, even like with you with brands, like starting brands, when you're passionate about like clothing, culture, skating, I feel like you could become in it. So it's like for me, I was just so passionate. So it's wild.
That's so true, man. Yeah, that look, so much of what we do is like hype driven and trend driven, and I think for anybody, like especially, I think this is something that's really important for like kids that are professional skateboarders, and then understanding how to evolve with is like it's just kind of not weathering the storms, but like understanding like there's gonna be times where like you might be part of something that's super hot, and then it's going to come to an end, and some other shit's going to be hot, and you're going to have to wait for that thing to run its course, and then if you have another idea or another thing to be able to present to just bringing ideas forth that are relevant and that resonate with people, but just understanding that it's a waiting game, you know what I mean? And if you truly love something and you're passionate about it, you'll be willing to sit, you'll know when to fall back, let this thing play its course, and then when you got whatever that new part is, whatever that new product is or new idea, figure out how to package and present it to the world so, and I think that conviction, is evident in your path, Mike, because like I said, man, we're sitting here as 2020, and you are an industry mainstay at this point. You've worked for some of the best brands, skateboarders, and worked with them on a lot of different capacities, so those aren't like fluky things, and you can't you can't finesse your way. You can only finesse so far, you know what I mean? Like you gotta really be about the shit and be good at it, because like I said, man, you wouldn't be sitting here doing what you're doing, in 2020 if it wasn't a real conviction that you have a great follow through, and it's evident to people. So
damn, I feel honored, Jimmy. Thank you, bro, man. Yeah,
I'm proud of you, man. Come on, man. No, it's so true, man. It's like, you know who I had a good conversation with this about recently was Gino Iannucci. Gino's obviously a legend, and he's seen so much shit come and go, and he's still held on the pedestal that he's held on. And like when we were talking about trends and everything and whatnot, and we both had the general consensus, like people, no matter how glitzy and shiny some shit might be, like the I hate to say this, but like the real shit will always find its way to the front. You know what I mean? So it's just being patient to understand and trust that what you do and what you believe in and what you're part of is much more thorough than the millions of fucking ideas and things that you see thrown onto the feed every day. So
well, shit, Jimmy, I look forward to them, and bro, thank you for coming on and chatting with me for a bit, and I'm glad I got to
come on, Mike. Nah, this is cool. I was glad you hit me because that like honestly, like throughout this time period, it's like I just wanted to connect with people that I really have enjoyed knowing over the years, and maybe people like somebody like a Scott Johnson who I've always wanted to sit down and talk to, but you particular, like your path and your trajectory and how you've done things to get yourself to where you're at is commendable, man. And so many kids can learn from watching you and reaching out to you, man. I'm sure you got a lot of young bucks that hit you and try to figure out ways that they can get things going for themselves. So you're a resource for generations to come now. So,
bro, Jimmy, thank you, bro.
Embrace that, brother.
All right, well, we'll definitely talk soon, and thank you for coming here and kicking it.
My man.
Peace,
Peace, Mikey.